Hello and welcome as Zenith Players presents Dear Brutus by J.M. Barrie. I am TJ, I am our technical director. All of the actors you'll be hearing tonight are volunteering their time and their talents from homes in 4 different countries, 5 different continents, 4 different continents tonight. Either way, they're from a lot of places. We want to thank them all very much for joining us. We would like to also thank our friend, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare, for hosting this on his pages. You can check out his website at shakespeareapproves.com, his Patreon at patreon.com/Shakespeare. Find out more about him at the aforementioned website or by visiting his Facebook page, Shakespeare Approves, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare. We will have links to visit him as well as some of our other performer friends in the comments of this video. As always, we want to acknowledge and thank all of the medical professionals and essential workers who have been working tirelessly to keep us all as healthy and safe and vaccinated as possible. If you're interested in more information about our totally volunteer organization, check out our website, zenithplayers.com. Feel very free to check out our very attractive donations page. 100% of all donations go towards production costs, which these days consist of the various subscriptions that allow for these readings to happen. If you would like to join us and read with us in future projects, just send us an email at casting@zenithplayers.com and we will get you on board. Join us next Saturday as we return to Shakespeare with Cymbeline. For now, relax and enjoy. Grace Aline as Joanna, Erin Klarner as Mabel Purdy, Steve Anderson as Mr. Purdy, Paula K. Long as Alice Darth, Andrew Gellos as Mr. Darth, Titania Levitt-Spence as Lady Caroline, Caitlin Jurowitz as Margaret, Mira Singer as Mrs. Code, Joshua Boyer as Mr. Code, with Andrea Atwood as Matey and Shakira Searle as Lob in Dear Brutus. Act 1.
The scene is a darkened room, which the curtain reveals so stealthily that if there were a mouse on stage, it is there still. Our object is to catch our 2 chief characters unawares. They are darkness and light. The room is so obscure as to be invisible, but at the back of the obscurity are French windows, through which is seen Lob's garden bathed in moonshine. The darkness and light, which this room and garden represent, are very still, but we should feel that it is only the pause in which old enemies regard each other before they come to the grip. The moonshine, stealing about among the flowers to give them their last instructions, has left a smile upon them, but it is a smile with a menace in it for the dwellers in darkness. What we may expect to see next is the moonshine slowly pushing the windows open, so that it may whisper to a confederate in the house, whose name is Lob. But though we may be sure that this was about to happen, it does not happen. A stir among the dwellers in darkness prevents it. The unsuspecting ones are in the dining room, and as the communicating door opens, we hear them at play. Several tenebrous shades appear in the lighted doorway and hesitate on the 2 steps that lead down into the unlit room. The fanciful among us may conceive a rustle in the same moment among the flowers. The engagement has begun, though not in the way we had intended.
Go on, Cody, lead the way.
Dear, I don't see why I should go first.
Nicest always goes first.
It is a strange house.
It is a strange house if I am the nicest.
It is a strange house.
Over here.
They have been grouping their way forward, blissfully unaware of how they shall be grouping there again more terribly before the night is out. Someone finds a switch, and the room is illuminated, with the effect that the garden seems to have drawn back a step, as if worsted in the first encounter. But it is only waiting. The apparently inoffensive chamber thus suddenly revealed is, for a bachelor's home, creditably like a charming country house drawing room, and abounds in the little feminine touches that are so often best applied by the hand of man. There is nothing in the room inimical to the ladies, unless it be the cut flowers, which are from the garden and possibly in collusion with it. The fireplace may also be a little dubious. It has been hacked out of a thick wall which may have been there when the other walls were not, and is presumably the cavern where Lob, when alone, sits chatting to himself among the blue smoke. He is as much as home by this fire as any gnome that may be hiding among its shadows. But he is less familiar with the rest of the room, and when he sees it, as for instance on his lonely way to bed, he often stares long and hard at it before chuckling uncomfortably. There are 5 ladies, and only one of them is elderly, the Mrs. Code, whom a voice in the darkness has already proclaimed the nicest. She is the nicest, though the voice was no good judge. Cody, as she is familiarly called, and as her husband is also called, each having for many years been able to answer for the other, is a rounded old lady with a beaming smile that has accompanied her from childhood. If she lives to be 100, she will pretend to the census man that she is only 99. She has no other vice that has not been smoothed out by existence by her placid life. And she has but one complaint against the male Cody, the rather odd one, that he has long forgotten his first wife. Our Mrs. Cody never knew the first one, but it is she alone who sometimes looks at the portrait of her and preserves in their home certain mementos of her, such as a lock of brown hair, which the equally gentle male Cody must have treasured once, but has now forgotten. The first wife had been slightly lame, and in their brief married life he had carried solicitously a rest for her foot, had got so accustomed to this that after a quarter of a century with our Mrs. Cody, he still finds footstools for her as if she were lame also. She has ceased to pucker her face over this, taking it as a kind little thoughtless attention, and indeed, with the years, has developed a friendly limp. Of the other 4 young ladies, all young and physically fair, 2 are married. Mrs. Dearth is tall, of smouldering eye and fierce desires. Murky beasts lie in ambush in the labyrinths of her mind. She is a white-faced gypsy with a husky voice, most beautiful when she is sullen, and therefore frequently at her best. The other ladies, when in conclave, refer to her as the Dearth. Mrs. Purdy is a safer companion for the toddling kind of man. She is soft and pleading, and would seek what she wants by laying her head on the loved one's shoulder, while the Dearth might attain it with a pistol. A brighter spirit than either is Joanna Trout, who, when her affections are not engaged, has a merry face and figure, but can dismiss them both at the important moment, which is at the word love. Then Joanna quivers. Her sense of humour ceases to beat, and the dullest man may go ahead. There remains Lady Caroline Laney of the disdainful boys, lately from the enormously select school where they are taught to pronounce their R's as W's. Nothing else seems to be taught, but for matrimonial success, nothing else is necessary. Every woman who pronounces R as W will find a mate. It appeals to all that is chivalrous in man. An old-fashioned gallantry induces us to accept from each of these ladies her own estimate of herself, and fortunately, it is favourable in every case. This refers to their estimates of themselves up to the hour of 10 on the evening on which we will first meet them. The estimate may have changed temporarily by the time we part from them on the following morning. What their mirrors say to each of them is, a dear face, not classically perfect, but abounding in that changing charm which is the best type of English womanhood. Here is a woman who has seen and felt far more than her reticent nature readily betrays. She sometimes smiles, but behind that concession, controlling it in a manner hardly less than adorable, lurks the sigh called knowledge. A strangely interesting face, mysterious. A line for her tombstone might be, if I had a man, what adventures I could have had with her. If I had been a man, what adventures I could have had with her who lies here. Are these ladies then so very alike? They all would deny it, so we must take our own soundings. At this moment of their appearance in the drawing room, at least, they are alike in having a common interest. No sooner has the drawing room door closed than purpose leaps to their eyes. Oddly enough, the men having been got rid of, the drama begins.
We must not waste a second. Our minds are made up, I think.
Now is the time.
Yes, now if at all. But should we?
Certainly, and before the men come in.
Don't think we should wait for the men. They are as much in it as we are. Lob would be with them. If the thing is to be done at all, it should be done now.
Is it quite fair to Lob? After all, he is our host.
Of course it isn't fair to him, but let's do it, Cody.
Yes, let's do it.
Mrs. Death is doing it.
Of course I am. The men are not coming, are they?
No, your husband is having another glass of port.
I'm sure he is. One of you ring, please.
The bold Joanna rings.
Our matey.
He richly deserves what he is about to get.
He's coming. Don't all stand huddled together like conspirators.
It is what we are.
Swiftly they find seats and are sunk thereon like ladies waiting languidly for their lords when the doomed butler appears. He is a man of brawn who could cast any of them forth for a wager, but we are about to connive at the triumph of mind over matter.
Ah, matey, I wish this telegram sent.
Very good, ma'am. The village post office closed at 8, but if your message is important.
It is, and you are so clever, matey. I am sure you can persuade them to oblige you.
I will see to it myself, ma'am. You can depend on its going.
Thank you. Better read the telegram, matey, to be sure that you can make it out.
Matey reads it to himself and has never quite the same faith in woman again.
Read it aloud, matey.
Ma'am.
Aloud.
To police station, Grand Company. Send police officer first thing tomorrow morning to arrest Matey Butler for theft of rings.
Yes, that is quite right.
Ma'am, my lady.
Could we not say how many rings?
Yes, put in the number of rings, matey.
Matey does not put in the number, but he produces 3 rings from unostentatious parts of his person and returns them without noticeable dignity to their various owner.
May I tear up the telegram, ma'am?
Certainly not.
I always said that this man was the culprit. I am nowhere mistaken in faces, and I see bowed owls all over yours, matey.
He might reply that he sees W's all over hers, but it is no moment for repartee.
It is deeply regretted.
I'm sure it is.
We may as well tell him now that it is not our rings we are worrying about. They have just been a means to an end, matey.
The stir among the ladies shows that they have arrived at the more interesting point.
Precisely. In other words, the telegram is sent unless...
Unless you can tell us instantly what particularly it is that all we ladies have in common.
Not only the ladies, all the guests in this house.
We have been here a week, and we find that when Lob invited us, he knew all of us so little that we begin to wonder why he asked us. And now, from words he has let drop, we know that we were invited because of something he thinks we have in common.
But he won't say what it is. One knows that no people could be more unlike.
One does.
And we can't sleep at night, matey, for wondering what this something is.
But we are sure you know. And if you don't tell us, squad.
I don't know what you mean, ladies.
Oh, yes, you do.
Admit that your master is a very strange person.
He is a little odd, ma'am. That is why everyone calls him Lob, not Mr. Lob.
He is so odd that it has got on my nerves that we have been invited here for some sort of horrid experiment. You look as if you thought so too.
Oh no, miss. You shouldn't have come, ladies. You didn't ought to have come.
For the moment, he is sorrier for them than for himself.
Now, my man, what do you mean by that?
Nothing, my lady. I just mean, why did you come if you are the kind he thinks?
Kind he thinks?
What kind does he think? Now we are getting it.
I haven't a notion, ma'am.
Then it is not necessary virtue that makes Lob interested in us.
No, my lady. Oh, no, my lady.
And yet, you know, he is rather lovable.
He is, ma'am. He is the most lovable old devil. I beg pardon, ma'am.
You scarcely need to, for in a way it's true. I've seen him out there among his flowers, petting them, talking to them, coaxing them till they simply had to grow.
It certainly is a divine garden.
They all look at the unblinking enemy.
How lovely it is in the moonlight. Roses, roses all the way. It's like a hat I once had when I was young.
Lob is such an amazing gardener. I believe he could even grow hats.
He is wonderful, gardener. But is that quite nice at his age? What is his age, man?
You won't tell, my lady. I think he is frightened that the police would step in if they knew how old he is. They do say in the village they remember him 70 years ago, looking just as he does today.
Absurd.
Yes, ma'am, but there are his razors.
Razors?
You won't know about razors, my lady, not being married. As yet, excuse me. But a married lady can tell a man's age by the number of his razors. If you saw his razors, there's a little world of them, from patterns of the present day back to implements so horrible you can picture him with one in his hand, scraping his way through the ages.
You amuse one to an extent. Was he ever married?
He is quite forgotten, my lady. How
Why
long
do
ago is it since Merry England?
Why do you ask?
In Elizabeth's time, wasn't it?
He says he is all that is left of Merry England, that little man.
Lob. I think there was a famous cricketer called Lob.
Wasn't there a Lob in Shakespeare? No, of course, I'm thinking of Robin Goodfellow.
The names all so alike.
Robin Goodfellow was Puck.
That's what was in my head. Lob was another name for Puck.
Well, he is certainly rather like what Puck might have grown into if he had forgotten to die. And by the way, I remember now, he does call his flowers by the old Elizabethan names.
He always calls the nightingale Philomelmus, if that is any help.
None whatsoever. Tell me this. Did he specially ask you all for Midsummer Week?
He would.
Now, what do you mean?
He always likes them to be here on Midsummer Night, ma'am.
Them? Whom?
Them who have that in common.
Can it be?
I don't know.
I hope are all well, all nice women. We don't know each other very well. Does starting happen at those times?
I don't know.
Why, I believe this is Midsummer Eve.
Yes, miss, it is. The villagers know it. They are all inside their houses tonight, with the doors barred.
Because of him?
He frightens them. There are stories.
What alarms them? Tell us, or...
I know nothing for certain, ma'am. I have never done it myself. He has wanted me to, but I
Done
wouldn't.
what? Done what?
Oh, ma'am, don't ask me. Be merciful to me, ma'am. I am not bad naturally. It was just going into domestic service that did for me. The accident of being flung among bad companions. It's touch and go how the poor turn out in the world. All depends on your taking the right or the wrong turning.
I dare say that is true.
When I was young, ma'am, I was offered a clerkship in the city. If I had taken it, there wouldn't be a more honest man alive today. I would give the world to be able to begin over again.
He means every word of it, though the flowers would here, if they dared, burst into ironical applause.
Very sad, Mrs. Dearth.
I am sorry for him, but still.
What do you say, my lady?
As you ask me, I should certainly say jail.
If you will say no more about this, ma'am, I'll give you a tip that is worth it.
Aha, now you are talking.
Don't listen to him.
You are the one that is hardest on me.
Yes, I flatter myself I am.
You might take a wrong turning yourself, my lady.
How dare you, man?
But the flowers rather like him for this. It is possibly what gave them a certain idea.
Men are rising.
Very well, matey, we agree, if the tip is good enough.
You will forget this.
I think not, my lady. It's this. I wouldn't go out tonight if he asks you. Go into the garden if you like. The garden is all right. I wouldn't go farther, not tonight.
But he never proposes to us to go farther. Why should he tonight?
I don't know, ma'am, but don't any of you, except you, my lady. I should like you to go.
Hello.
They consider this odd warning.
Shall I?
They nod, and she tears up the telegram.
Thank you, ma'am.
You should have sent that telewagon off.
You're sure you've told us all you know, matey?
Yes, miss. Above all, ladies, I wouldn't go into the wood.
The wood? Why, there is no wood within a dozen miles of here.
No, ma'am. But all the same, I wouldn't go into it, ladies. Not if I was you.
With this cryptic warning, he leaves them, and any discussion of it is prevented by the arrival of their host. Lob is very small, and probably no one has ever looked so old except some newborn child. To such as watched him narrowly, as the ladies now do for the first time, he has the effect of seeming to be hollow, an attenuated piece of piping insufficiently inflated. One feels that if he were to strike against a solid object, he might rebound feebly from it, which would be less disconcerting if he did not obviously know this and carefully avoid the furniture. He is so light that the subject must not be mentioned in his presence, but it is possible that, were the ladies to combine, they could blow him out of a chair. He enters portentously, his hands behind his back, as if every bit of him, from his domed head to his little feet, were the physical expressions of the deep thoughts within him. Then suddenly, he whirls round to make his guests jump. This amuses him vastly, and he regains his gravity with difficulty. He addresses Mrs. Code.
Standing, dear lady. Pray be seated.
He finds a chair for her and pulls it away as she is about to sit, or kindly pretends to be about to do so, for he has had this quaint conceit every evening since she arrived.
You naughty.
It is quite a flirtation, isn't it?
He rolls on a chair, kicking out his legs in an ecstasy of satisfaction. But the ladies are not certain that he is the little innocent they have hitherto thought him. The advent of Mr. Code and Mr. Purdy presently add to their misgivings. Mr. Code is old, a sweet pippin of a man with a gentle smile for all. He must have suffered much, you conclude incorrectly, to acquire that tolerant smile. Sometimes, as when he sees other people at work, a wistful look takes the place of the smile, and Mr. Code fidgets like one who would be elsewhere. Then there rises before his eyes the room called the study in his house, whose walls are lined with boxes marked A, B, C to Z, and A2, B2, C2 to K2. These contain dusty notes for his great work on the feudal system, the notes many years old, the work, strictly speaking, not yet begun. He still speaks at times of finishing it, but never of beginning it. He knows that in more favorable circumstances, for instance, if he had been a poor man instead of pleasantly well-to-do, he could have flung himself avidly into that noble undertaking, but he does not allow his secret sorrow to embitter him or darken the house. Quickly the vision passes, and he is again his bright self. Idleness, he says in his game way, has its recompenses. It is charming now to see how he at once crosses to his wife, solicitous for her comfort. He is bearing down on her with a footstool when Mr. Purdy comes from the dining room. He is the most brilliant of our company, recently notable in debate at Oxford, where he was runner-up for the presidentship of the Union, and only lost it because the other man was less brilliant. Since then, he has gone to the bar on Monday, married on Tuesday, and had a brief on Wednesday. Beneath his brilliant and making charming company for himself, he is aware of intellectual powers beyond his years. As we are about to see, he has made one mistake in his life, which he is bravely facing.
Is my husband still sampling the port, Mr. Purdy?
Do you know, I believe he is. Do the ladies like our proposal, Code?
I have not told them of it yet. The fact is, I am afraid that it might tire my wife too much. Do you feel equal to a little exertion tonight, Cody, or is your foot troubling you?
They've been resting it, Cody.
Oh, there. Is that more comfortable? Presently, dear, if you are agreeable, we are all going out for a walk.
The garden is all right.
Ah, but it is not to be the garden. We are going further afield. We have an adventure for tonight. Get thick shoes and a wrap, Mrs. Dearth, all of you.
Where do you propose to take us?
To find a mysterious wood.
Are you being funny, Mr. Purdy? You know quite well that there are not any trees for miles around. You said yourself that it is one blot on the landscape.
On ordinary occasions, but allow us to point out to you, Miss Joanna, that this is Midsummer Eve.
Tell them what you told us, Lob.
It is all nonsense, of course. Just foolish talk of the villagers. They say that on Midsummer Eve there is a strange wood in this part of the country.
Where?
That is one of its most charming features. It is never twice in the same place, apparently. It has been seen on different parts of the Downs and on more common. Once it was close to Radley village and another time about a mile from the sea. Oh, a sporting wood.
And Lob is anxious that we should all go and look for it.
Not he. Lob is the only skeptic in the house. Says it is all rubbish, and that we shall be sillies if we go. But we believe, eh, Birdie?
Rather.
Just wasting the evening. Let us have a round game at cards here instead.
No, sir, I am going to find that wood.
What is the good of it when it's found?
We shall wander it deliciously, listening to a new sort of bird called a philomel.
Lob is behaving in the most exemplary manner, making sweet little clucking sounds.
Shall we keep together, Mr. Purdy?
No, we must hunt in pairs.
I think it would be rather fun. Come on, Cody. I'll lace your boots for you. I'm sure your poor foot will carry you nicely.
Miss Trout, wait a moment. Lob, has this wonderful wood any special properties?
Oh, poof, there's no wood.
You've never seen it?
Not I don't believe in it.
Have any of the villagers ever been in it?
So it's said.
What did they say were their experiences?
Well, that isn't known. They never came back.
Never came back?
Observe, of course. You see, in the morning, the wood was gone. And so they were gone too.
I don't think I like this wood.
It certainly is Midsummer Eve.
Of course, if you ladies are against it, we will drop the idea. It was only a bit of fun.
Yes, better give it up, to please Lob.
Oh, all right, Lob. What about that game of cards?
I wanted you to go. I had set my heart on your going. It is the thing that I wanted, and it isn't good for me not to get the thing I want.
Creeps under the table and threatens the hands that would draw him out.
Good gracious, he's wanted it all this time, you wicked Lob.
Now, you see there is something in it.
Nonsense, Mrs. Durr. It was only a joke.
Don't cry, Lobby.
Nobody cares for me. Nobody loves me. And I need to be loved.
Several get on their knees to him.
Yes, we do. We all love you. Nice Lobby.
Dear Lob, I'm so fond of you.
Dry his eyes with my own handkerchief.
Don't comfort him.
I need to be pampered.
You funny little man. Let's go at once and look for his wood.
All feel that thus alone can his tears be dried.
Boots and cloaks, hats forward. Come on, Lady Caroline, just to show that you're not afraid of matey.
There is a general exodus, and Lob, left alone, emerges from his temporary retirement. He ducks victoriously, but presently is on his knees again, distressfully regarding some flowers that have fallen from their bowl.
Oh, poor bruised one. It was I who hurt you. Oh, Lob is so sorry. Lie there. Pretty. Let me see where you have a pain. You fell on your head. Is this the place? Mwah. Now I make it better. Oh, you little rascal, you are not hurt at all. You just pretend. Oh dear. Sweetheart, don't you cry. You are now prettier than ever. You were too tall. Oh, how beautifully you smell now that you are small. Drink. Now you are happy again. The little rascal smiles. All smile, please. not heads. You love Lob. Lob loves you.
Joanna and Mr. Purdy stroll in by the window.
What were you saying to them, Lob?
I was saying two's company, three's none.
He departs.
Man, he suspects.
This is a very different Joanna from the one who has so far flitted across our scene. It is also a different Purdy. In company, they seldom look at each other, though when the one does so, the eyes of the other magnetically respond. We have seen them trivial, almost cynical, but now we are to greet them as they know they really are, the great strong-hearted man and his natural mate in the grip of the master passion. For the moment, Lob's words have unnerved Joanna, and it is John Purdy's dear privilege to soothe her.
No one minds, Lob. My dear, oh, my dear.
Yes, but he saw you kiss my hand, Jack. If Mabel were to suspect.
There is nothing for her to suspect.
No, there isn't, is there? Jack, I'm not going to get anything. I'm not doing anything wrong, am I?
You.
With an adorable gesture, she gives him one of her hands, and manlike, he takes the other also.
Mabel is your wife, Jack. I should so hate myself if I did anything that was disloyal to her.
Those eyes could never be disloyal, my lady of the nut-brown eyes. Oh, the svelteness of you. Joanna, why are you so svelte?
For his sake, she would be less svelte if she could, but she can't. She admits her failure with eyes grown still larger, and he envelops her so that he may not see her. Thus, men seek safety.
All I want is to help her and you.
I know, how well I know, my dear, brave love.
I'm very fond of Mabel, Jack. I should like to be her best friend she has in the world.
You are, dearest. No woman ever had a better friend.
And yet I don't think she really likes me. I wonder why.
Oh, it is just that Mabel doesn't understand. Nothing could make me say a word against my wife.
I wouldn't listen to you if you did.
I love you all the more, dear, for saying that. But Mabel is a cold nature. She doesn't understand.
She doesn't appreciate your finer qualities.
That's it. But of course I am difficult. I always was a strange creature. I often think, Joanna, that I am rather like a flower that has never had the sun to shine on it, nor the rain to water it.
You break my heart.
I suppose there is no more lonely man than I walking the earth today.
It is so mournful.
It is the thought of you that sustains me, elevates me. You shine high above me like a star.
No, I wish I was wonderful, but I'm not.
You have made me a better man, Joanna.
So proud to think that.
You have made me kinder to Mabel.
I'm sure you are always kind to her.
Yes, I hope so, but I think now of special little ways of giving her pleasure. That never-to-be-forgotten day when we first met, you and I.
That tragic, lovely day by the way. Oh, Jack.
Do you know how in gratitude I spent the rest of that day?
Tell me.
I read to Mabel aloud for an hour. I did it out of kindness to her because I had met you.
It was dear of you.
Do you remember that first time my arms, your waist? Oh, you are so fluid, Joanna. Why are you so fluid?
I can't help it, Jack.
I gave her a ruby bracelet for that.
It is a gem. You have given that lucky woman, many lovely things.
It is my invariable custom to go straight off and buy Mabel something whenever you have been sympathetic to me. Those new earrings of hers, they are a memory of the first day you called me Jack. Her buckle gown, the one with the beads, was because you let me kiss you.
I didn't exactly let you.
No, but you have such a dear way of giving in.
Jack, she hasn't worn that gown of late.
No, nor her jewels. I think she has some sort of idea now that when I give her anything nice, it means you have been nice to me. She has a rather suspicious nature, Mabel. She never used to have it, but it seems to be growing on her. I wonder why.
In this wonder, which is shared by Joanna, their lips meet. Mabel, who has been about to enter from the garden, quietly retires.
Was that anyone in the garden?
There's no one out there now.
I'm sure I heard someone. If it was Mabel. Jack, if she saw us, she will think that you were kissing me.
These fears are confirmed by the rather odd bearing of Mabel, who now joins their select party.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but please wait a moment before you kiss her again. Excuse me, Joanna.
Quietly draws the curtains, thus shutting out the garden and any possible onlooker.
I did not want the others to see you. They might not understand how noble you are, Jack. You can go on now.
Having thus passed the time of day with them, she withdraws by the door, leaving Jack bewildered and Joanna knowing all about it.
How extraordinary. Of all the... Oh, but how contemptible. Mabel.
Did you call me Joanna?
I insist on an explanation. What were you doing in the garden, Mabel?
I was looking for something that I had lost.
Anything important?
I used to fancy it, Jack. It is my husband's love. You don't happen to have picked it up, Joanna. If so, and you don't set great store by it, I should like it back. The pieces, I mean.
Mabel, I will not be talked to in this way. To imply that your husband... The shame!
I must say, Mabel, I am a little disappointed in you. I certainly understood that you had gone upstairs to put on your boots.
Oh, poor old Jack. A woman like that.
I forgive you, Mabel. You will be sorry for this afterwards.
Not a word against Joanna, Mabel. If you knew how nobly she has spoken of you.
She does know. She's been listening.
There is a moment's danger of the scene degenerating into something mid-Victorian. Fortunately, a chivalrous man is present to lift it to a higher plane. John Purdy is one to whom subterfuge of any kind is abhorrent. If he has not spoken out before, it is because of his reluctance to give Mabel pain. He speaks out now, and seldom probably has he proved himself more worthy.
This is a man's business. I must be open with you now, Mabel. It is the manlier way. If you wish it, I shall always be true to you in word. Indeed, it is your right. But I cannot pretend that Joanna is not the one woman in the world for me. If I had met her before you, it's kismet, I suppose.
Too late. Too late.
I suppose you never knew what true love was till you met her, Jack.
You force me to say it. Joanna and I are as one person. We have not a thought at variance. We are one rather than two.
Yes, and that's the one. I am so sorry to have marred your lives.
Oh, if any blame there is, it is all mine. She is as spotless as the driven snow. The moment I mentioned love to her, she told me to desist.
Not she.
So you were listening. Mabel, don't you see how splendid she is? He is.
Not quite, Joanna.
She goes away. She is really a better woman than this, but never capable of scaling that higher plane to which he has, as it were, offered her a hand.
How lovely of you, Jack, to take it all upon yourself.
It is the man's privilege.
Mabel has such a horrid way of seeming to put people in the wrong.
Have you noticed that? Poor Mabel, it is not an enviable quality.
I don't think I care to go out now. She has spoilt it all. She's taken the innocence out of it, Jack.
We must be brave and not mind her. Oh, Joanna, if we had met in time, if only I could begin again. To be battered forever just because I once took the wrong turning, it isn't fair.
The wrong turning. Now, who was saying that a moment ago about himself? Why, it was Matey.
A footstep is heard.
And is that her coming back again? Oh, it's too bad.
But the intruder is Mrs. Dearth, and he greets her with relief.
Ah, it is you, Mrs. Dearth.
Yes, it is. But thank you for telling me, Mr. Purdy. I don't intrude, do I?
Why should you?
Rather not. We were hoping it would be you. We want to start on a walk. I can't think what has become of the others. We have been looking for them everywhere.
Well, do go on looking. Under the flower pot would be a good place. It is my husband I am in search of.
Shall I rout him out for you?
How too unutterably kind of you, Mr. Purdy. I hate to trouble you, but it would be the sort of service one never forgets.
You know, I believe you are chaffing me.
No, I am incapable of that.
I won't be a moment.
Miss Trout and I will await your return with ill-concealed impatience.
They awaited across a table, the newcomer in a reverie and Joanna watching her. Presently, Mrs. Dirth looks up, and we may notice that she has an attractive screw of the mouth, which denotes humor.
Yes, I suppose you are right. I dare say I am.
I didn't say anything.
I thought I heard you say that hateful Dirth woman coming butting in where she is not wanted.
Joanna draws up her svelte figure, but a screw of one mouth often calls for a similar demonstration from another, and both ladies smile. They nearly become friends.
You certainly have good ears.
Yes, they have always been rather admired.
By the painters for whom you sat when you were an artist's model?
So that has leaked out, has it?
I shouldn't have said that.
Do you think I care whether you know or not?
I'm sure you don't. Still, it was caddish of me.
It was.
I don't see it.
Mrs. Dirth laughs and forgets her, and with the entrance of a man from the dining room, Joanna drifts elsewhere. Not so much a man, this newcomer, as the relic of what has been a good one. It is the most he would ever claim for himself. Sometimes, brandy in hand, he has visions of the Will Dirth he used to be, clear of eye, sees him but a field away, singing at his easel or fishing rod in hand, leaping a stile. Our Will stares after the fellow for quite a long time, so long that the two melt into the one who finishes Lob's brandy. He's scarcely intoxicated as he appears before the lady of his choice, but he is shaky and has watery eyes. Alice has had a rather wild love for this man, or for that other one, and he for her, but somehow it has gone whistling down the wind. We may expect, therefore, to see them at their worst when in each other's company.
I am uncommonly flattered, Alice, to hear that you have sent for me. It quite takes me aback.
It isn't your company I want, Will.
You know, I felt that Purdy must have delivered your message wrongly.
I want you to come with us on this mysterious walk and keep an eye on Lob.
Oh, poor little Lob. Oh, surely not.
I can't make that man out. I want you to tell me something. When he invited us here, do you think it was you or me he specially wanted?
Oh, you? He made no bones about it, said there was something about you that made him want uncommonly to have you down here.
Will, try to remember this. Did he ask us for any particular time?
Yes, he was particular about it being Midsummer Week.
Ah, I thought so. Did he say what it was about me that made him want to have me here in Midsummer Week?
No, but I presumed it must be your fascination, Alice.
Just so. Well, I want you to come with us tonight to watch him.
Oh, cracking my eye, Tommy. Spy on my host? And such a harmless little chap, too. Excuse me, Alice. Besides, I have an engagement.
An engagement? With the port decanter, I presume.
Oh, good guess, but wrong. The decanter is now but an empty shell. Still, how you know me. My engagement is with a quiet cigar in the garden.
Your hand is so unsteady you won't be able to light the match.
I shall just manage.
A nice hand for an artist.
One would scarcely call me an artist nowadays.
Not so far as any work is concerned.
Not so far as having any more pretty dreams to paint is concerned. Wonder why I have become such a waster, Alice.
I suppose it was always in you.
I suppose so. And yet I was rather a good sort in the days when I was courting you.
Yes, I thought so. Unlucky days for me, as it has turned out.
Yes, a bad job for you. I didn't know I was a wrong-un at the time. I thought of myself quite well. Thought a vast deal more of you. A cracker in my eye, Tommy. How I used to leap out of bed at 6 a.m. all agog to be at my easel. blood ran through my veins in those days. But now I'm middle-aged and done for. Funny. Don't know how it has come about, nor what has made the music mute. When did you begin to despise me, Alice?
When I got to know you, Will, really, a long time ago.
Yes, I think that is true. 'Twas a long time ago, and before I had begun to despise myself. It wasn't till I knew you had no opinion of me that began to go downhill. You will grant that, won't you? And that I did try for a bit to fight on? Eh, If you had cared for me, I wouldn't have come to this, surely.
Well, I found I didn't care for you, and I wasn't hypocritic enough to pretend I did. That's blunt, but you used to admire my bluntness.
The bluntness of you, the adorable wildness of you, you untamed thing. There were never any shades in you. Kiss or kill was your motto, Alice. I felt from the first moment I saw you that you would love me or knife me.
Memories of the shooting star flare in both of them for as long as a sheet of paper might take to burn.
I didn't knife you.
No, I suppose that was where you made the mistake. It was hard on you, old lady. I suppose it's too late to try patching things up.
Let's be honest, it is too late, Will.
Perhaps if we had had children.
A blessing, I should think, seeing what sort of father they would have had.
I dare say you're right. Well, Alice, I know that somehow it's my fault. I'm sorry for you.
I'm sorry for myself. If I hadn't married you, what a different woman I would be. What a fool I was.
3 things, they say, come not back to men nor women: the spoken word, the past life, and the neglected opportunity. Wonder if we should make any more of them, Alice, if they did come back to us.
You wouldn't.
I guess you're right.
But I...
Yes, what a boon for you. But I hope it's not Freddie Finchfallow you would put in my place. I know he is following you again.
He followed me about, as you put it, before I knew you. I don't know why I quarreled with him.
Your heart told you he was no good, Alice.
My heart told me that you were, so it wasn't much service to me, my heart.
The Honourable Freddie Finchfallow is a rotter.
You are certainly an authority on the subject.
You had me there, after which brief but pleasant little connubial chat, he pursued his dishonoured way into the garden.
He is, however, prevented doing so for the moment by the return of the others. They are all still in their dinner clothes, though wearing wraps. They crowd in through the door.
Here they are. Are you ready, dear lady?
Are you not coming with us to find the wood, Mr. Jareth?
Alas, I am unavoidably detained. You will find me in the garden when you come back.
If we ever do come back.
Precisely. Should we never meet again, Alice, fare thee well. Purdy, if you find a tree of knowledge in the wood, bring me back an apple.
I promise.
Come on, quickly. Matey mustn't see me.
Matey, what difference would that make, love?
Why, he would take me off to bed. It's past my time.
You know, old fellow, you make it very difficult for us to embark upon this adventure in the proper eerie spirit.
Well, I'm for the garden.
He walks to the window, and the others are going out by the door. But they do not go. There's a hitch somewhere at the window, apparently, for Dearth, having begun to draw the curtains apart, lets them fall, like one who has had a shock. The others remember long afterwards his grave face as he came quietly back and put his cigar on the table. The room is in darkness, save for the light from one lamp.
Oh, now, Dearth.
What is it we get in that wood, Lob?
He won't tell us that. Tell us first.
They say that in the wood you get what nearly everybody here is longing for, a second chance.
So that's what we all have in common.
I have often thought, Cody, that if I had a second chance, I should be a useful man instead of just a nice, lazy one.
Second chance.
Yes. To the wood! To the wood!
Stop. Why not go this way?
He pulls the curtains apart, and there comes a sudden indrawing of breath from all, for no garden is there now. In its place is an endless wood of great trees. The nearest of them has come close to the window. It is a somber wood, with splashes of moonshine and of blackness standing very still in it. The party in the drawing room are very still also. There is scarcely a cry or a movement. It is perhaps strange that the most obviously frightened is Lob, who calls vainly for Matey. The first articulate voice is Dirth's.
Anyone ready to risk it?
Of course, there's nothing in it. Just...
Of course. Going out, Purdy?
Second chance.
I shall be back in a moment. Probably.
As he passes into the wood, his hands rise, as if a hammer had tapped him on the forehead. He is soon lost to view.
He does not come back.
It's horrible.
Mrs. Code steals off by the door to her room, calling to her husband to do likewise. He takes a step after her and stops in the grip of the two words that holds them all. The stillness continues. At last, Mrs. Purdy goes out into the wood, her hands raised, and is swallowed up by it.
Mabel!
You will have to go now, Mr. Purdy.
He looks at Joanna, and they go out together. One tap of the hammer for each.
Don't you go, Mrs. Darth. You'll catch it if you go.
A second chance.
She goes out, unflinching.
One would like to know.
She goes out. Mrs. Code's voice is heard from the stair calling to her husband. He hesitates, but follows Lady Caroline. To Lob, now alone, comes Matey with a tray of coffee cups.
Just past your bedtime, sir. Say good night to the ladies and come along.
Matey, look.
Matey looks.
Good heavens, and it's true.
Yes, but I wasn't sure.
Matey approaches the window cautiously to peer out, and his master gives him a sudden push that propels him into the wood. Lob's back is toward us as he stands alone, staring out upon the unknown. He is terrified still, yet quivers of rapture are running up and down his little frame. End of Act 1. Act 2. We are translated to the depths of the wood and the enchantment of a moonlit night. In some other glade a nightingale is singing. In this one, in proud motoring attire, recline two mortals whom we have known in different conditions. The second chance has converted them into husband and wife. The man, of gross muddy build, lies luxurious on his back, exuding affluence, a prominent part of him heaving playfully, like some little wave that will not rest in a still sea. A handkerchief over his face conceals from us what colossus he may be. But his mate is our Lady Caroline. The nightingale trills on, and Lady Caroline takes up its song.
Is it not a lovely night, Jim? Listen, my own, to Phenomenal. He is saying that he is lately married. So, you ducky thing. I feel, Jim, that I am Rosalind, and that Yawa are Orlando.
The handkerchief being removed, Mr. Matey is revealed, and the nightingale seeks some farther tree.
What do you say I am, Carolini?
My own one, don't you think it would be fun if we're to write poems about each other and pin them on the tree trunks?
Holmes, I never knew such a lass for high-flown language.
Yawa lastiest Jim's lass.
And don't you forget it.
What would you do if I were to forget it? You would bear with?
Take a stick to you.
I love how you talk like that. It is so worthwhile. I always knew that it was master I needed.
It's what you all need.
It is, you know and with.
Listen, Caroline. That is what gets the ladies.
How much have you made this week, you wonderful man?
Another 200 or so. That's all. Just 200 or so.
My dear golden fetter, listen to me. Kiss my fetter, Jim.
Wait till I light this cigar.
Let me hold the dueling match.
Tidy-looking petite Corona, this. There was a time when one of that sort would have run away with 2 days of my screw.
How I should have loved, Jim, to know you when you were poor. Fancy Yawa having been once a clerk.
We all have our beginnings. But it wouldn't have mattered how I began, Caroline. I should have come to the top just the same. I am a climber, and there are nails in my boots for the parties beneath me. Boots. I tell you, if I had been a bootmaker, I should have been the first bootmaker in London.
I sure would, Jim. But should you have made the best boots?
Very good, Caroline. That is the nearest thing I have heard you say. But it's late. We had best be strolling back to our Rolls Royce.
I do hope the ground wasn't damp.
Don't matter if it was. I was lying on your rug.
Indeed, we notice now that he has had all the rug and she the bare ground. Joanna reaches the glade, now an unhappy lady who has got what she wanted. She is in country dress and is unknown to them as they are to her.
I wonder, sir, whether you happen to have seen my husband? I've lost him in the wood.
We are strangers in these parts ourselves, missus. Have we passed anyone, Caroline?
Should we have noticed that? Might it be that old gent our there?
After the delightful manner of these happily wed, she has already picked up many of her lover's favorite words and phrases.
Oh, no, my husband is quite young.
The woodlander referred to as Mr. Code in gala costume. At his mouth a whistle he has made him from some friendly twig. To its ravishing music, he is seen pirouetting charmingly among the trees, his new occupation.
Seems a merry old cock. Evening to you, sir. Do you happen to have seen a young gentleman in the wood lately, all by himself and looking for his wife?
Can't say I have.
He isn't necessarily by himself, and I don't know that he's looking for me. There may be a young lady with him.
The more happily married lady smiles, and Joanna is quick to take offense.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, if you like that better.
No. Your manners, Caroline.
Would he be singing or dancing?
Oh, no. At least I hope not.
Hope not. If he is doing neither, I am not likely to notice him. But if I do, what name shall I say?
Purdy. I'm Mrs. Purdy.
I will try to keep a lookout, and if I see him, but I am rather occupied at present.
I'm sorry to have troubled you. I see him now.
Is he alone? I see from y'all's face that he isn't.
Caroline, no awkward questions. Evening, missus, and I hope you will get him to go along with you quietly. Watch the old codger dancing.
Light-hearted as children, they dance after him. while Joanna, behind a tree, awaits her lord. Purdy, in knickerbockers, approaches with misgivings to make sure that his Joanna is not in hiding. And then he gambols joyously with a charming confection whose name is Mabel. They chase each other from tree to tree, but fortunately not around Joanna's tree.
No, no, and no. I don't know you nearly well enough for that. Besides, what would your wife say? I shall begin to think you are a very dreadful man, Mr. Purdy.
Surely you might call me Jack by this time.
Oh, perhaps if you are very good, Jack.
If only Joanna was more like you.
Like me? You mean her face? It is well, if it is not precisely pretty, it is a good face. I don't mind her face at all. I'm glad you've got such a dependable little wife, Jack.
Thanks.
What would Joanna have said if she had seen you just now?
A wife should be incapable of jealousy.
Joanna jealous? But has she any reason? Jack, tell me, who is the woman?
Shall I, Mabel? Shall I?
I can't think who she is. Have I ever seen her?
Every time you look in the mirror.
How odd, Jack. That can't be. When I look in a mirror, I only see myself.
How adorably innocent you are, Mabel. Joanna would have guessed it once.
Not that.
Shall I tell you now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure, Jack. Try not to say it, but if you feel you must, say it in such a way that it would not hurt the feelings of Joanna if she happened to be passing by. She nearly always is.
A little moan from Joanna's tree is unnoticed.
I would rather not say it at all than that way. I don't know, Mabel, whether you have noticed that I am not like other men. All my life I have been a soul that has had to walk alone. Even as a child, I had no hope it could be otherwise. I distinctly remember when I was 6, thinking how unlike other children I was. Before I was 12, I suffered from terrible self-deprecation. I do so still. I suppose there never was a man who had a more lowly opinion of himself.
Jack, you who are so universally admired.
That doesn't help. I remain my own judge. I'm afraid I am a dark spirit, Mabel. Yes, my dear. Let me leave nothing untold, however it may damage me in your eyes. Your eyes. I cannot remember a time when I did not think of love as a great consuming passion. I visualized it, Mabel, as perhaps few have done, but always as the abounding joy that could come to others, but never to me. I expected too much of women. I suppose I was touched to finer issues than most. That has been my tragedy.
And then you met Joanna.
Then I met Joanna, yes. Foolishly, as I now see. I thought she would understand that I was far too deep a nature really to mean the little things I sometimes said to her. I suppose a man was never placed in such a position before. What was I to do? Remember, I was always certain that the ideal love could never come to me. Whatever the circumstances, I was convinced my soul must walk alone.
Oh, Joanna, how could you?
Not a word against her, Mabel. If blame there is, the blame is mine.
And so you married her?
And so I married her.
Out of pity?
I felt it was a man's part. I was such a child in worldly matters. It was pleasant to me to have the right to pay a woman's bills. I enjoyed seeing her garments lying about on my chairs. In time, the exultation wore off. But I was not unhappy. I didn't expect much. I was always so sure that no woman could ever plumb the well of my emotions.
Then you met me?
Then I met you.
Too late. Never. Forever. Forever. Never. They are the saddest words in the English tongue.
At the time, I thought a still sadder word was Joanna.
What was it you saw in me that made you love me?
I think I think it was the feeling that you are so like myself.
Have you noticed that, Jack? Sometimes it has almost terrified me.
We think the same thoughts. We are not two, Mabel. We are one. Your hair...
Joanna knows you admire it, and for a week she did hers in the same way.
I never noticed.
That was why she gave it up. It didn't really suit her. I can't think of a good way of doing dear Joanna's hair. What is it that you're muttering to yourself, Jack? Oh, don't keep anything from me.
I was repeating a poem I've written. It is in 2 words. Mabel Purdy. May I teach it to you, sweet? Say Mabel Purdy to me.
If I were to say it, Jack, I should be false to Joanna. Never ask me to be that. Let us go on.
Say it, Mabel, say it. Oh, see, I write it on the ground with your sunshade.
If it could be, Jack, I'll whisper it to you.
She is whispering it as they wander. Not 2, but 1, farther into the forest, ardently believing in themselves. They are not hypocrites. The somewhat bedraggled figure of Joanna follows them, and the nightingale resumes his love song. That's all you know, you bird, thinks Joanna cynically. The nightingale, however, is not singing for them, nor for her, but for another pair he has espied below. They are racing, the prize to be for the one who first finds the spot where the easel was put up last night. The hobbledehoy is sure to be the winner, for she is less laden, and the father loses time by singing as he comes. Also, she is all legs, and she started ahead. Brambles adhere to her. 1 boot has been in the water, and she has as many freckles as there are stars in heaven. She is as lovely as you think she is, and she is aged the moment when you like your daughter best. A hoot of triumph from her brings her father to the spot.
Daddy, I've won. Here's the place. Crack in my eye, Tommy.
He comes. Crack in my eye, Tommy, this engaging fellow in tweed, is Mr. Dearth, ablaze in happiness and health, and a daughter. He finishes his song, picked up in the Latin Quarter.
Yes, that is the tree I stuck my easel under last night. And behold the blessed moon behaving more gorgeously than ever. I am sorry to have kept you waiting, old moon, but you ought to know by now how time passes. Now, keep still while I hand you down to prosperity.
The easel is erected, Margaret helping by getting in the way.
The moon is rather pale tonight, isn't she?
Comes from keeping late hours.
Daddy, watch me. Look at me. Please, sweet moon, a pleasant expression. No, not as if you're sitting for it. That is too professional. That is better, thank you. Now keep it. That is the sort of thing you say to them, Dad.
I oughtn't have brought you out so late. You should be tucked up in your cozy bed at home.
With the pillow, anyhow.
Except in its proper place.
And the sheet over my face.
Where it oughtn't to be.
And Daddy tiptoeing in to take it off.
Which is more than you deserve.
Then why does he stand so long at the door? And before he has gone, she bursts out laughing, for she has been awake all the time.
That's about it. What a life. But I oughtn't have brought you out here. Best to have sheet over you when the moon is about. Moonlight is bad for little daughters.
I can't sleep when the moon's at the full. She keeps calling to me to get up. Perhaps I am her daughter too.
God, you look it tonight.
Do I? Then can't you paint me into the picture as well as Mama? You could call it a mother and daughter, or simply 2 ladies, if the moon thinks that calling me her daughter would make her seem too old.
Oh, matra pulcra filia pulcroli. That means, oh moon, more beautiful than any 2-penny halfpenny daughter.
Daddy, do you really prefer her?
Shh. She's not a patch on you. It's the sort of thing we say to our sitters to keep them in good humor. I wish to heaven, Margaret, we had not both so fond of apple tart. And what is this?
It's a tear.
I should think it is a tear.
That boy at the farm did it. He kept calling Snubs after me, but I got him down and kicked him in the stomach. He's a rather jolly boy.
He sounds it. Ye gods, what a night.
And what a moon. Dad, she is not quite so fine as that.
Shh. I have touched her up.
Dad, what a funny man.
He has seen Mr. Code with Whistle enlivening the wood. He pirouettes round them and departs to add to the happiness of others. Margaret gives an excellent imitation of him, at which her father shakes his head, then reprehensibly joins in the dance. Her mood changes, she clings to him.
Hold me tight, I'm frightened. I think they want to take you away from me.
Who, Gosling?
I don't know. It's too lovely, Daddy. I won't be able to keep hold of it.
What is it?
The world. Everything. And you, Daddy, most of all. Things that are too beautiful can't last.
Now, how did you find out that?
I don't know, Daddy. Am I sometimes stranger than other people's daughters?
More of a madcap, perhaps.
Do you think I am sometimes too full of gladness?
My sweetheart, you do sometimes run over with it.
To be very gay, dearest dear, is so near to being very sad.
How do you find that out, child?
I don't know. From something in me that's afraid. Daddy, what is a might have been?
I might have been. They are ghosts, Margaret. I dare say I might have been a great swell of a painter instead of just this uncommonly happy nobody. Or again, I might have been a worthless idle waster of a fellow.
You.
Who knows? Some little kink in me might have set me off on the wrong road, and that, poor soul, I might so easily have been, might have had no Margaret. Oh, my word, I am sorry for him.
So am I. The poor old daddy wandering about the world without me.
And there are the other might have beens, lovely ones, but intangible. Shades, Margaret, made of sad folks' thoughts.
I'm so glad I'm not a shade. How awful it would be, Daddy, to wake up and find one wasn't alive.
It would, dear.
Daddy, wouldn't it be awful? I think men need daughters.
Oh, they do.
Especially artists.
Yes, especially artists.
Especially artists.
Especially artists.
Fame is not everything.
Fame is rot. Daughters are the thing.
Daughters are the thing.
Daughters are the thing.
I wonder if sons would be even nicer.
Not a patch on daughters. The awful thing about a son is that never, at least from the day he goes to school, can you tell him that you rather like him. By the time he is 10, you can't even take him on your knee. Sons are not worth having, Margaret. Signed, W. Dearth.
But if you were a mother, Dad, I dare say he would let you do it.
Think so?
I mean, when no one was looking. Sons are not so bad. Signed, M. Dearth. But I'm glad you prefer daughters. At what age are we nicest, Daddy? Hi, Daddy. At what age are we nicest? Daddy! Hi, at what age are we nicest?
Huh? Oh, that's a poser. I think you were nicest when you were 2 and knew your alphabet up to G but fell over at H. No. You were best when you were 3:30, or just before you struck 6, or in the mumps year, when I asked you in the early morning how you were, and you said solemnly, I haven't tried yet.
Did I?
Such was your answer. But I'm not sure that chickenpox doesn't beat mumps. Oh, Lord, I'm all wrong. It's the nicest time in a father's life is the year before she puts up her hair.
I suppose that is a splendid time. But there's a nicer year coming to you. Daddy, there is a nicer year coming to you.
Is there, darling?
Daddy, the year she does put up her hair.
Puts up forever? You know, I am afraid when the day for that comes, I shan't be able to stand up. Can't be able to stand it. It will be too exciting. Oh, my poor heart, Margaret.
No, no, it will be lucky you, for it isn't to be a bit like that. I am to be a girl and woman day about for the first year. You will never know which I am till you look at my hair. And even then you won't know, for if it is down, I shall put it up. And if it is up, I shall put it down. And so my daddy will gradually get used to the idea.
I see you have been thinking about.
I have been doing more than that. Shut your eyes, Dad, and I will give you a glimpse into your future.
I don't know if I want that. The present is so good.
Shut your eyes, please.
No, Margaret.
Please, Daddy.
Oh, all right. They are shut.
Don't open them until I tell you. What finger is that?
The dirty one.
Daddy, now I am putting up my hair. I have such a darling of a mirror. It is such a darling mirror I've got, Dad. Dad, don't look. I shall tell you about it. It is a little pool of water. I wish we could take it home and hang it up. Of course, the moment my hair is up, there will be other changes also. For instance, I shall talk quite differently.
Pooh. Where are my matches, dear?
Top pocket waistcoat.
You were meaning to frighten me just now.
No, I am just preparing you. You see, darling, I can't call you Dad when my hair is up. I think I shall call you Parent.
Mm.
Parent, dear, do you remember the days when your Margaret was a slip of a girl and sat on your knee? How foolish we were, Parent, in those distant days.
Shut up, Margaret.
Now I must be more distant to you, more like a boy who could not sit on your knee anymore.
See here, I want to go on painting. Shall I look now?
I'm not quite sure whether I want you to. It makes such a difference. Perhaps you won't know me. Even the pool is looking a little scared. What do you think? Will I do?
Stand still, dear, and let me look my fill. The Margaret that is to be.
You'll see me often enough, Daddy, like this, so you don't need to look your fill. You are looking as long as if this were to be the only time.
Was I? Surely it isn't to be that.
Be gay, Dad. You will be sick of Margaret with her hair up before you are done with her.
I expect so.
Shut up, Daddy. Daddy, I know what you are thinking of. You are thinking what a handful she is going to be.
Well, I guess she is.
Now you are thinking about my being in love someday.
Rot.
I won't, you know. No, never. Oh, I've quite decided, so don't be afraid. Will you hate him at first, Daddy? Daddy, will you hate him? Will you hate him, Daddy?
Whom?
Well, if there was.
If there was what, darling?
You know the kind of thing I mean quite well. Would you hate him at first?
I hope not. I should want to strangle him, but I wouldn't hate him.
I would. That is to say, if I liked him.
If you liked him, how could you hate him?
For daring.
Daring what?
You know. But of course I shall have no say in the matter. You will do it all. You will do everything for me.
I can't help it.
You will even write my love letters if I ever have any to write, which I won't.
Surely, to goodness, Margaret, I will leave you alone to do that.
Not you. You will try, but you won't be able.
I want you, you see, to do everything exquisitely. I do wish I could leave you to do things a little more for yourself. I suppose it's owing to my having to be both father and mother. I knew nothing practically about the bringing up of children, and of course, I couldn't trust you to a nurse.
Not you. So sure you could do it better yourself. That's you all over. Daddy, do you remember how you taught me to balance a biscuit on my nose like a puppy?
Did I?
You called me Rover.
I deny that.
And when you said snap, I caught the biscuit in my mouth.
Oh, horrible.
Daddy, I can do it still. Here is the last of my supper. Say snap, Daddy.
Not I.
Say snap, please.
I refuse.
Daddy!
Snap. Let that be the last time, Margaret.
Except just once more. I don't mean now, but when my hair is really up. If I should ever have a Margaret of my own, come in and see me, Daddy, in my white bed and say, snap, and I'll have the biscuit ready.
Righto.
Dad, if I should ever marry, not that I will, but if I should, at the marriage ceremony, will you let me be the one who says I do?
I suppose I deserve this.
You think I'm pretty, don't you, Dad? Whatever other people say.
Not so bad.
I know I have nice ears.
They are all right now, but I had to work on them for months.
You don't mean to say that you did my ears?
Rather.
My dimple is my own.
I'm glad you think so. I wore out the point of my little finger over that dimple.
Even my dimple? Have I anything that is really mine? A bit of my nose or anything?
When you were a babe, you had a laugh that was all your own.
Haven't I it now?
It's gone. I'll tell you how it went. We were fishing in the stream. That is to say, I was wading and you were sitting on my shoulders holding the rod. We didn't catch anything. Somehow or another, I can't think how I did it. You irritated me and I answered you sharply.
I can't believe that.
Yes, it sounds extraordinary, but I did. It gave you a shock, and for the moment, the world no longer seemed a safe place to you. Your faith in me had always made it safe till then. You were suddenly not even sure of your bread and butter, and a frightened tear came to your eyes. I was in a nice state about it, I can tell you.
Silly. But what has that to do with my laugh, Daddy?
The laugh that children are born with lasts just so long as they have perfect faith. To think that it was I who robbed you of yours.
Don't, dear. I'm sure the laugh just went off with the tear to comfort it, and they have been playing about in that stream ever since. They've quite forgotten us, so why should we remember them? Cheeky little beasts. Shall I tell you my farthest back recollection? I remember the first time I saw the stars. I had never seen night, and then I saw it and the stars together. Crack in my eye, Tommy. It isn't everyone who can boast of such a lovely, lovely recollection for their earliest, is it?
I was determined that your earliest should be a good one.
Do you mean to say you planned it?
Rather. Most people's earliest recollection is of some trivial thing, how they cut their finger or lost a piece of string. I resolved that my Margaret's should be something bigger. I was poor, but I could give you the stars.
Oh, how you love me, Daddykins.
Yes, I do rather.
A vagrant woman has wandered in their direction, one whom the shrill winds of life have lashed and bled. Here and there ragged graces still cling to her, and unruly passion smolders. But she, once a dear, fierce rebel with eyes of storm, is now first of all a whimperer. She and they meet as strangers.
Good evening.
Good evening, Missy. Good evening, Missy. Mister?
Lost anything?
Sometimes when the tourists have had their sandwiches, there are bits left over, and they squeeze them between the roots to keep the place tidy. I'm looking for bits.
You don't tell me you're as hungry as that.
Try me.
Daddy, that was my last biscuit.
We must think of something else.
Yes, wait a bit. We are sure to think of something. Daddy, think of something.
Your father doesn't like you to touch the likes of me.
Oh, yes, he does. And if he didn't, I'd do it all the same. This is a bit of myself, Daddy.
That is all you know.
You needn't be angry with her, mister. I'm all right.
I am not angry with her. I am sorry for you.
If I had my rights, I'd be as good as you and better.
I dare say.
I have had men servants and a motor car.
Margaret and I never rose to that.
I have been in a taxi several times, and Dad often gets telegrams.
Margaret?
I'm sorry I boasted.
That's nothing. I have a townhouse. At least I had. At any rate, he said there was a townhouse.
Fancy his not knowing for certain.
The Honourable Mrs. Finch Fallow. That's who I am.
It's a lovely name.
Curse him.
Do you like him?
We won't go into that. I have nothing to do with your past, but I wish we had some food to offer you.
You haven't a flask?
No, I don't take anything myself. But let me see.
Oh, I know. You said we had £5. Would you like £5?
Darling, don't be stupid. We haven't paid our bill at the end.
All right, I haven't asked you for anything.
Don't take me up in that way. I have had my ups and downs myself. Here's a 10 bob, and welcome.
He surreptitiously slips a coin into Margaret's hand.
And I have half a crown. It is quite easy for us. Dad will be getting another £5 any day. You can't think of how exciting it is when the £5 comes in. We dance and then we run out and buy chops.
Margaret?
It's kind of you. I'm richer this minute than I have been for many a day.
It's nothing. I am sure you would do the same for us.
I wish I were as sure.
Of course you would. Glad to be of any help. Get some victuals as quickly as you can. Best of wishes, ma'am. And may your luck change.
Same to you. And may yours go on.
Good night.
What is her name, mister?
Margaret.
Margaret. You drew something good out of the lucky bag when you got her, mister.
Yes.
Take care of her. They are easily lost.
Shuffles away.
Poor soul. I expect she has had a rough time, and that some man is to blame for it. Partly, at any rate. That woman rather affects me, Margaret. Don't know why. Didn't you like her husky voice? I say, Margaret, we lucky ones, let's swear always to be kind to those who are down on their luck, and then, when we are kind, let's be a little kinder.
Yes, let's.
Margaret, I always feel sorry for the failures, the ones who are always failures, especially in my sort of calling. Wouldn't it be lovely to turn them on the 39th year of failure into glittering success?
Topping.
Topping.
Oh, topping. How could we do it, Dad?
By letter. To poor old Tom Brokenheart, top attic, garret chambers, southeast. Dear Sir, His Majesty has graciously pleased to purchase your superb picture of Marlow Ferry.
P.S. I am sending the money in a sack so as you can hear it chink.
What could we do for our friend who just passed now? I can't get her out of my head.
You've made me forget her. Dad, I didn't like it.
Didn't like what, dear?
I didn't like her saying that about your losing me.
I shan't lose you.
It would be hard for me if you lost me, but it would be worse for you. I don't know how I know that, but I do know it. What would you do without me?
Don't talk like that, dear. It is a wicked and stupid and naughty. Somehow that poor woman... I won't paint any more tonight.
Let's get out of the wood. It frightens me.
And you loved it a moment ago. Hello. I hadn't noticed that there was a house there.
Daddy, I feel sure that there wasn't a house there.
Goose. It is just that we didn't look. Our old way of letting the world go hang. So interested in ourselves. Nice behavior for people who have been boasting about what they would do for other people. Now I see what I ought to do.
Let's get out of the wood.
Yes, but my idea first. It is to rouse the people and get food for them, or from them, for the husky one.
She's too far away now.
I can overtake her.
Don't go into that house, Daddy. I don't know why it is, but I'm afraid of that house.
He waggles a reproving finger at her.
There is a kiss for each moment until I come back. Oh, naughty. Go and stand in the corner. Who has got a nasty temper?
She tries hard not to smile, but she smiles, and he smiles, and they make comic faces at each other as they have done in similar circumstances since she first opened her eyes.
I shall be back before you can count 100.
He goes off, humming his song so that she may still hear him when he is lost to sight. All just as so often before. She tries dutifully to count her 100, but the wood grows dark. Soon she is afraid again. She runs from tree to tree, calling to her daddy. We begin to lose her among the shadows.
Daddy, come back. I don't want to be a might have been.
End of Act 2. Act 3. Lob's room has gone very dark as it sits up, awaiting the possible return of the adventurers. The curtains are drawn so that no light comes from outside. There is a tapping on the window, and anon 2 intruders are stealing about the floor with muffled cries when they meet unexpectedly. They find the switch and are revealed as Purdy and his Mabel. Something has happened to them as they emerge from the wood, but it's so superficial that neither notices it. They are again in the evening dress in which they'd left the house, but they're still being led by that strange humor of the blood.
Pretty little room. I wonder who is the owner.
Oh, it doesn't matter. The great thing is we have escaped, Joanna.
Jack, look, a man.
The term may not be happily chosen, but the person indicated is Lob, curled up on his chair by a dead fire. The last look on his face before he fell asleep, having been a leery one, is still there.
He's asleep.
Do you know him?
Not I. Excuse me, sir. Hi.
No shaking, however, wakens the sleeper.
Darling, how extraordinary.
After all, precious, have we any right to wake up a stranger just to tell him that we are runaways hiding in his house?
I think you would expect it of us.
There is no budging him.
At any rate, we've done the civil thing.
She has now time to regard the room more attentively, including the tray of coffee cups which Matey had left on the table in a not unimportant moment of his history.
There have evidently been people here, but they haven't drunk their coffee. Ah, it's cold as a deserted egg in a bird's nest, Jack. If you were a clever detective, you could construct these people out of their neglected coffee cups. I wonder who they are and what has spirited them away.
Perhaps they have only gone to bed. Ought we knock them up?
I think not, dear. I suppose we have run away, Jack, meaning to...
Irrevocably. Mabel, if the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
He becomes conscious that something has happened to Lob's leer. It has not left his face, but it has shifted.
He's not shamming, do you think?
Shake him again.
It's all right. Mabel, if the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
Poor little Joanna. Still, if a woman insists on being a pendulum round a man's neck...
Give me a chance, Mabel. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
Joanna comes through the curtain so inopportunely that for the moment he is almost pettish.
Like I say, this is just a little too much, Joanna.
So, sweet husband, your soul is still walking alone, is it?
How can you sneak about in this way, Joanna? Have you no pride?
Please to address me as Mrs. Purdy, madam. Who is this man?
We don't know, and there is no waking him. You can try, if you like.
Failing to rouse him, Joanna makes a third attempt. They're all a little inconsequential, as if there were still some moonshine in their hair.
You were saying something about the devotion of a lifetime? Please go on.
I don't like to before you, Joanna.
Oh, don't mind me.
I should certainly like to say it.
And I shall be proud to hear it.
I should have liked to spare you this, Joanna. You wouldn't put your hands over your ears.
No, sir.
Fie, Joanna. Surely a wife's natural delicacy.
As you take it in that spirit, Joanna, I can proceed with a clear conscience. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
He reels a little, staring at Lob, over whose face the leer has been wandering like an insect.
Did he move?
It isn't that. I'm feeling very funny, huh? Did one of you just tap me on the forehead?
Their hands also have gone to their foreheads.
I think I have been in this room before.
There is something coming rushing back to me.
I seem to know that coffee set. If I do, the lid of the milk jug is chipped. It is!
I can't remember this man's name, but I'm sure it begins with an L.
Lob.
Lob.
Lob. Mabel, your dress.
How on earth?
My dress. You were in knickerbockers in the wood.
So I am now. But where did I change? Oh, the wood. Well, let me think. The wood. The wood, certainly, but the wood wasn't the wood.
My head is going round.
Lob's wood. I remember it all. We were here. We did go.
So we did. But how could... Where was...
And who was...
What was...
Oh, don't let go. Hold on to what we are doing, or we shall lose grip of ourselves. Devotion. Something about devotion. Hold on to devotion. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime... Which of you was I saying that to?
To me!
Are you sure?
I'm not quite sure.
Joanna, what do you think? Which of you is my wife?
I am... No, wait, I'm not. It is Mabel who's your wife.
Me?
Why, of course you are, Mabel.
I believe I am.
Yet how can it be? I was running away with you.
You don't need to do it now.
The wood. Hold on to the wood. The wood is what explains it. Yes, I see the whole thing. You infernal old rascal. Let us try to think it out. Don't anyone speak for a moment. Think first. Love. Hold on to love.
He gets another tap.
I say, I believe I am not a very deeply passionate chap at all. I believe I am a philanderer.
It is what you are.
Mabel, what about ourselves?
I didn't know. Just a philanderer. People don't change. I suppose we shall begin all over again now.
I dare say, but not with each other. I may philander again, but not with you.
They look on themselves without approval. Always a sorry occupation. The man feels it most because he has admired himself most, or perhaps partly for some better reason.
John Purdy. John Purdy, the fine fellow I used to think you. The wood has taught me one thing at any rate.
What, Jack?
That it isn't accident that shapes our lives.
No, it's fate.
It's not fate, Joanna. Fate is something outside us. What really plays the dickens with us is something in ourselves. Something that makes us go on doing the same sort of fool things, however many chances we get.
Something in ourselves?
Something we are born with?
Can't we cut out the beastly thing?
It depends, I expect, on how long we have pampered him. We can at least control him if we try hard enough, but I have, for the moment, an abominably clear perception that the likes of me never really tries. Forgive me, Joanna. No, Mabel, both of you. It isn't very pleasant to discover that one is a rotter. I suppose I shall get used to it.
I could forgive anybody anything tonight. It's so lovely not to be married to you, Jack.
I can understand that. I do feel small.
You will soon swell up again.
That is the appalling thing. But at present, at any rate, I am a rag at your feet, Joanna. No, at yours, Mabel. Are you going to pick me up? I don't advise it.
I don't know whether I want to, Jack. To begin with, which of us is it your lonely soul is in search of?
Which one of us is the fluid one? Or the fluider one?
Are you and I one? Or are you and Joanna one? Or are the three of us two?
He wants you to whisper in his ear, Mabel, the entrancing poem, Mabel Purdy. Do it, Jack. There will be nothing wrong with it now.
Rub it in.
When I meet Joanna's successor.
No, Mabel, none of that. At least credit me with having my eyes open at last. There will be no more of this. I swear by all that is...
Ah, he's off again.
Oh, Lord, so I am.
Don't, Joanna.
She is quite right. I was. In my present state of depression, which won't last, I feel there is something in me that will make me go on being the same ass, no matter how many chances I get. I haven't the stuff in me to take warning. My whole being is corroded. Shakespeare knew what he was talking about. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but on ourselves that we are underlings.
For dear Brutus, are we supposed to read dear audience, I suppose?
You have it.
Meaning that we have the power to shape ourselves.
We have the power, right enough.
But isn't that rather splendid?
For those who have the grit in them, yes. And they are not the dismal chappies. They are the ones with the thin, bright faces.
He sits lugubriously by his wife and is sorry for the first time that she has not married a better man.
I am afraid there is not much fight in me, Mabel. But we shall see. If you catch me at it again, have the goodness to whisper to me in passing Lob's Wood. That may cure me for the time being.
Perhaps I will, as long as I care to bother, Jack. It depends on you how long that is to be.
I feel that there's a hope in that as well as a warning. Perhaps the wood may prove to have been useful after all. You know, we are not people worth being sorrowful about, so let us laugh.
The ladies succeed in laughing, though not prettily, but the man has been too much shaken.
We've forgotten the others. I wonder what is happening to them.
Yes. What about them? Have they changed?
I didn't see any of them in the wood.
Perhaps we did see them without knowing them. We didn't know Lob.
That's true.
Or to be delicious to be here to watch them when they come back and see them waking up or whatever it is we did.
What was it we did? I think something tapped me on the forehead.
How do we know if the others will come back?
We don't know. How awful.
Listen.
I distinctly hear someone on the stairs.
It would be Mady.
Be cautious, both of you. Don't tell them we have had any odd experiences.
It is, however, Mrs. Code who comes downstairs in a dressing gown, carrying a candle and her husband's muffler.
Good evening, Mrs. Code.
At last. A nice house, I must say. Where is Cody?
Cody? Did he go into the wood too?
I suppose so. I have been down several times to look for him.
Cody too?
I wonder... Oh, how dreadful.
What is dreadful, Joanna?
Nothing. I was just wondering what he's doing.
Doing? What should he be doing? Did anything odd happen to you in the wood?
No, nothing.
We just strolled about and came back. Have you noticed him?
Oh, yes, he's been like that all the time. A sort of stupor, I think, and sometimes the strangest grin comes over his face.
Grin?
Just as if he were seeing amusing things in his sleep.
I dare say he is. Why don't we get Matey to him?
Matey has gone too.
What?
At all event, he's not in the house.
Matey, I wonder who's with him.
Must somebody be with him?
Oh, no, not at all.
They are simultaneously aware that someone outside has reached the window.
I hope it is Cody.
The other ladies are too fond of her to share this wish.
Oh, I hope not.
Why, Mrs. Purdy?
Dear Mrs. Code, whoever he is and whatever he does, I beg you not to be surprised. We feel that though we had no unusual experiences in the wood, others may not have been so fortunate.
And be cautious, you dear, what you say to them before they come to.
Come to? You puzzle me. And Cody didn't have his muffler.
Let it be recorded that in their distress for this old lady, they forget their own misadventures. Purdy takes a step toward the curtains in a vague desire to shield her and gets a rich reward. He has seen the coming addition to their circle.
It is Matey.
A butler intrudes who still thinks he is wrapped in fur.
Oh, do come in.
With apologies, ladies and gents, may I ask who is host?
A very reasonable request. The third on the left.
Merely to ask, sir, if you can direct me to my hotel?
The sleeper's only response is a slight quiver in his hand.
The gentleman seems to be reposing.
It is Lob.
What is Lob, ma'am?
Surely you haven't forgotten.
Anything we can do for you, sir? Just give it a name.
I hope you're not alone. Do you have some lady friends with you?
My wife is with me.
His wife! You have been quick.
I didn't know you were married.
Why should you, madam? You talk as if you knew me.
Good gracious, do you really think I don't?
Sit down, won't you, dear sir, and make yourself comfy.
Thank you. But my wife?
Yes, bring her in. We're simply dying to make her acquaintance.
You are very good. I am obliged.
Who can she be?
What an extraordinary wood. He doesn't seem to know who he is at all.
Oh, don't worry about that, Cody, darling. He will know soon enough.
And so will the little wife. By the way, whoever she is, I hope she's fond of butlers.
It is Lady Caroline.
Oh, joy, joy. And she was so sure she couldn't take the wrong turning.
Lady Caroline is evidently still sure of it.
May I present my wife, Lady Caroline Matey?
How do you do?
Your servant, Lady Caroline.
Lady Caroline Matey, you?
I'm Shower.
Very pleased to meet any wife of Mr. Matey.
Allow me, the Duchess of Candelabra, the ladies Helena and Matilda Menab. I am a Lord Chancellor.
I have wanted so long to make your acquaintance.
Grand.
These informal meetings are so delightful, don't you think?
Yes, indeed.
And your friend by the fire?
I will introduce you to him when you wake up. I mean, when he wakes up.
Perhaps I ought to have said that I am James Matey.
The James Matey?
A name not perhaps unknown in the world of finance.
Finance? Oh, so you did take that clerkship in the city.
I began as a clerk in the city, certainly, and I am not ashamed to admit it.
See that now. And did it save you?
Save me, madam?
Excuse us. We ask odd questions in this house. We only mean, did that keep you honest? Or are you still a pilferer?
Husband? Mine? What does she mean?
No offense. I mean a pilferer on a large scale.
If you are referring to that Labrador business or the working woman's bank.
Oh, got him.
Yes, those are what I meant.
There was nothing proved.
Mabel, Jack here is another of us. You have gone just the same way again, my friend. There's more in it, you see, than taking the wrong turning. You would always take the wrong turning. Tra-la-la.
If I'll cast in any aspersions on my husband, allow me to say that a powder wife and I does not do today to exist.
My dear, do be careful.
So long as you are satisfied, dear Lady Caroline. But I thought you shrank from all blood that was not blue.
You thought? Why should you think about me? I beg assure you that I adore my Jim.
She seeks his arm, but her Jim has encountered the tray containing coffee cups and a cake, and his hands close on it with a certain intimacy.
Whatever are you doing, Jim?
I don't understand it, Caroline, but somehow I feel at home with this in my hands.
Caroline?
Look at me well. Don't you remember me?
I don't remember you, but I seem to associate you with hard-boiled eggs. You like your eggs hard-boiled.
Hold on to hard-boiled eggs. She used to tip you, especially to see to them.
Matey's hand goes to his pocket.
Yes, that was the pocket.
Tip.
Tip.
Jolly word, isn't it?
It seems to set me thinking.
Why, is my hammer whack basket in this house?
For a living here, you know.
That is what a person feels. But when did I come? It is very, very odd. But one feels one ought to say, when did one go?
Coming to with a whoosh.
Mr. Purdy.
Mrs. Cody?
The governor, my clothes.
One is in even dress.
You will understand clearly in a minute, Caroline. You didn't really take that clerkship, Jim. You went into domestic service, but in the essentials you haven't altered.
I'll have my shaving water at 7:30 sharp, matey.
Very good, sir.
Where? Miss Summer, Eve, the wood.
Yes, hold on to the wood.
You are Lady Caroline Laney.
It is, matey, the butler.
You seemed quite happy with him, you know, Lady Caroline.
We won't tell.
Caroline matey. And I seem to like it. How horrible.
It is rather difficult to see what we should do next.
Perhaps if I were to go downstairs.
It would be conferring a personal favor on us all.
Thus encouraged, Matey and his tray resume friendly relations with the pantry.
It is all that West's doing.
A quiver from Lob's right leg acknowledges the compliment. The gay music of a pipe is heard from outside.
Cody.
Cody, why is he so happy?
Dear, hold my hand.
Won't he know me?
Mrs. Cody, I'm sorry. It didn't so much matter about the likes of us, but for your sake, I wish Cody hadn't gone out.
We that have been happily married this 30 years.
May I intrude? My name is Code. The fact is I was playing about in the wood on a whistle, and I saw your light.
Playing about in the wood with a whistle?
Oh, and why not, madam?
Madam, don't you know me?
I don't know you, but I wish I did.
Do you? Why?
If I may say so, you have a very soft, lovable face.
Several persons breathe again.
Who was with you, playing whistles in the wood?
The breathing ceases.
No one was with me.
And is resumed.
No lady?
Oh, certainly not.
Then he spoils it.
I am a bachelor.
A bachelor?
Don't give way, dear. It might be much worse.
A bachelor? And you were sure you never spoke to me before, do you think?
Well, not to my knowledge. Never. Oh, except in dreams.
And what did you say to her in her dreams?
I said, my dear. Odd.
The darling man.
How could you say such things to an old woman?
Old? I didn't think of you as old. No, young, with the morning dew on your face, coming across the lawn in a black and green dress, and carrying such a pretty parasol.
That was how he first met me. He used to love me in black and green, and it was a pretty parasol. Look, I am old, so it can't be the same woman.
Old? Yes, I suppose so, but it is the same soft, lovable face and the same kind, beaming smile that children could warm their hands at.
He always liked my smile.
So do we all.
Emma!
He hasn't forgotten my name.
It is sad that we didn't meet long ago. I think I have been waiting for you. I suppose we have met too late. You couldn't overlook my being an old fellow, could you, eh?
How lovely he is going to propose to her again. Cody, you happy thing. He is wanting the same soft face after 30 years.
We mustn't be too sure, but I think that is it. What exactly is it you want, Mr. Code?
I want to have the right to hold the parasol over you. Won't you be my wife, my dear, and so give my long dream of you a happy ending?
Kisses are not called for at our age, Cody, but here is a muffler for your old neck.
My muffler! I have missed it. Oh, why? What? Who? How is this?
Coming to...
Lob!
Lob's hand indicates that he has got it.
Bless me, Cody. I went into that wood.
Without your muffler, you that are so clever to chills. What are you feeling for in your pocket?
No, the whistle. It is a whistle. Gone. Of course it is. It's rather a pity, but... have I been saying awful things to you?
Oh, you have been making her so proud. It is a compliment to our whole sex. You had a second chance, and it is her again.
Of course it is. But I see I was just the same nice, old, lazy Cody as before. And I had thought that if I had a second chance, I could do things. I have often said to you, Cody, that it was owing to my being cursed with a competency that I didn't write my great book. But I had no competency this time, and I haven't read a word.
That needn't make you feel lonely in this house.
He is an old bachelor, dear.
I am surprised at myself, Emma, but I fear I was.
I wonder if what it means is that you don't especially need even me. I wonder if it means that you were just the sort of amiable creature that would be happy anywhere and anyhow.
Oh, dear. Can it be as bad as that?
Certainly not. It is a romance, and I won't have looked upon it as anything else.
Thank you, Joanna. You will try not to miss that whistle, Cody?
Oh, let me get your footstool. You are all I need.
Yes, but I am not so sure as I used to be that it is a great compliment.
Behave.
There is a knock on the window.
It's Death. She's alone. Who would have expected that of her?
He is a wild one, Jack, but I sometimes thought rather a dear. I do hope she has got off cheaply.
Alice comes to them in her dinner gown.
Pleased to see you, stranger.
I was afraid that such an unceremonious entry might startle you.
Not a bit.
I usually enter a house by the front door.
I have heard that is such a swagger way.
So stupid of me. I lost myself in the wood and...
Of course you did, but never mind that. Do tell us your name?
Yes. your name?
Of course, I am the Honourable Mrs. Finchfallow.
Of course, of course.
I hope Mr. Finchfallow is very well. We don't know him personally, but may we have the pleasure of seeing him bob up presently?
No, I am not sure where he is.
I wonder if thou police know.
No, they don't.
It is a very secondary matter to her. This woman of calamitous fires hears and sees her tormentors chiefly as the probable owner of the cake which is standing on that tray.
So awkward. I gave my sandwiches to a poor girl and her father whom I met in the woods, and now, isn't it a nuisance? I'm quite hungry.
So far with a mincing bravado.
May I?
Without waiting for consent, she falls to upon the cake, looking over it like one ready to fight them for it.
Poor soul.
We all so anxious to know whether you met a friend of us in the wood, Mr. Worth, perhaps.
Dearth? I don't know any Dearth.
Dear, what a wood.
He's quite a plump, dour sort of man. Knocks and wings, you know.
Don't worry her.
I met so many. You see, I go out a great deal. I have visiting cards, printed ones.
How very stingly. Perhaps Mother Dworth had painted whilst Pulswaiter was.
Very likely. They all want to paint me. I dare say that is the man to whom I gave my sandwiches.
I thought you said he had a daughter.
Oh, such a pretty girl. I gave her a half-crown.
A daughter? That can't be Dearth.
Don't be too sure. Was the man you speak of rather chop-fallen, gone to seed sort of person?
No, I thought him such a jolly, attractive man.
Dearth? Jolly? Attractive? Oh, no. Did he say anything about his wife?
Yes, do try to remember if you mentioned her.
No, he didn't.
Far from jolly in her time.
Perhaps that was the lady's fault.
The last of the adventurers draws nigh, caroling a French song as he comes.
Oh, Death's voice. Oh, he sounds quite merry.
Alice, you poor thing.
She's going to be horrible.
A clear-eyed man of lusty gait comes in.
I am sorry to bounce in on you this way, but really I have an excuse. I am a painter of sorts, and
He sees he has brought some strange discomfort here.
I must say, Mr. Dearth, I am delighted to see you looking so well. Like a new man, isn't he?
No one dares answer.
I am certainly very well, if you care to know. But did I tell you my name?
No, but we have an instinct in this house.
Well, it doesn't matter. Here is the situation. My daughter and I have just met in the wood a poor woman famishing for want of food. We were as happy as grigs ourselves, and the sight of her distress rather cut us up. Can you give me something for her? Why are you looking so startled? Oh, may I have this?
A shrinking movement from one of them draws his attention, and he recognizes in her the woman of whom he has been speaking. He sees her in fine clothing, and he grows stern.
I feel I can't be mistaken. It was you I met in the woods. Have you been playing some trick on me? It was for her that I wanted the food.
Have you come to take back the money you gave me?
Your dress. You were almost in rags when I saw you outside.
I don't understand.
For that matter, Dearth, I dare say you were different in the wood, too.
Sees his own clothing.
What?
Where am I? I seem to know you, do I?
Yes, you do. Hold my hand, and you will soon remember all about it.
I'm afraid, Mr. Darth, that it is harder for you than for the rest of us.
I wish I could help you, but I can't. I am a rotter.
You are awfully sorry. Don't you remember? Midsummer Eve?
Midsummer Eve. This room. Yes, this room. Was it you? Were going out to look for something. The tree of knowledge, wasn't it? Somebody wanted me to go too. Who was that? A lady, I think. Why did she ask me to go? What was I doing here? I was smoking a cigar? I laid it down there. Who was the lady?
Something about a second chance.
Yes, you poor dear. You thought you could make so much of it.
A lady who didn't like me. She had good reasons, too. But what were they?
A little old man. He did it. What did he do?
The hammer is raised.
I am. It is coming back. I am not the man I thought myself.
I am not Mrs. Finchfallows. Who am I?
You were that lady.
It is you. My husband.
My dear, you are much better off, so far as I can see, than if you were Mrs. Finchfallow.
Yes. Yes, indeed, but he isn't.
Alice! I didn't know you when I was in the wood with Margaret. She... Margaret.
The hammer falls.
Oh, God.
I wish.
She presses his shoulder fiercely and then stalks out by the door.
Ah, you ruffian.
No. No. I'm rather fond of him, our lonely little lost host, Lob. I thank thee for that hour.
The seedy-looking fellow passes from the scene.
Did you see that his hand is shaking again?
The watery eye has come back.
Yet they are both quite nice people.
We are all quite nice people.
You were not such a savage.
I dare say there is nothing the matter with her except she would always choose the wrong man. Good man or bad man, the wrong man for her.
We can't change.
Jack says the brave ones can.
The ones with the thin, bright faces.
Then there is hope for you and me, Jack?
I don't expect so.
Hadn't we better go to bed? It must be getting late.
Hold on to bed!
Breakfast is quite ready.
My watch has stopped.
And mine. Just as well, perhaps.
There's a smell of coffee?
Come along, Cody. I do hope you have not been tiring your foot.
Give it a good rest tomorrow, dear.
I have given your egg 6 minutes, ma'am.
They set forth once more upon the eternal round. The curious Joanna remains behind.
Strange experiment, matey. Does it ever have a permanent effect?
As far as I know, not often, miss. But I believe once in a while.
There is hope in this for the brave ones. If we could wait long enough, we might see the Dearths breasting their way into the light.
He could tell you.
The elusive person thus referred to flicks their arm responsively, meaning perhaps none of the others will change till there is a tap from another hammer. But when Matey goes to rout him from his chair, he is no longer there. His disappearance is no shock to Matey, who shrugs his shoulders, opens the windows to let in the glory of a summer morning. The garden is returned, and our strange little hero is busy at work among his flowers. The lark is rising. The end. Thank you for joining us for Dear Brutus. A big thanks to our friend, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. Visit him at his website, shakespeareapproves.com, or on Facebook at Shakespeare Approves, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. We've got links to all his content and more in the comments of this video. We would also like to thank, as always, the actors who volunteered to read with us tonight. Thank you so much for taking this interesting journey with us. If you enjoyed this reading, all of our past readings are available on our Facebook page and a little better organized on our website, zenithplayers.com. If you want more information on us, including how to be involved in a reading like this one, go to our Facebook page, Zenith Players. Send us a message or send an email to casting@zenithplayers.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. We want to continue to express our support to everyone out there working to keep us safe and healthy and vaccinated. Join us next Saturday as we return to Shakespeare with Cymbeline. Thank you and good night.